Let's get this to focus. Good evening, campers. I made this video and I had a few emails asking one question. How do I instill reading into my kids? Now, what are my qualifications? Absolutely none. I'm a dad with 2 kids who's passionate about kids being able to read. I'm not looking for them to be the next Shakespeare, and neither should you. All I think kids should be able to do is to have something in front of them. They can read it, understand it, comprehend it, and navigate the world. Functionally literate, we're going to call it, because at the moment, 1 in 5 kids in my country, Wales, will leave primary education with the age of a 3-year-old. Functionally illiterate. I need to rectify that. As a parent and as a Welshman, it is absolutely baffling to me and somewhat of a gut punch to hear that. The 1 in 5 kids, 20%, are functionally illiterate. So I put out this video, and again, a few people messaged saying, how do I instill reading? Now, as I mentioned in that video, you could point your fingers at government and you can point your fingers at teachers, unless you really can't control those things on an individual basis. But you know what you can do? You could do things within your own house. You can interact with your kids differently so that they can read. Again, we're not looking for them to be bookworms, we're looking for them to be literate. Again, to stress, I'm not asking for kids to be able to read the entire works of Shakespeare. I'm not asking for them to be bookworms. I am looking for them to be able to do the basics. And the way that you do that is instill reading into your children. And the first thing you're going to do are obtain physical books, but not for your kid, for yourself. You see, we live in a world where everything is trying to get your attention. I promise you, going on your computer, watching TV, or even flicking on your phone is way more stimulating and way more enjoyable than, guess what? Reading this. This not only appears to be upside down, but it is not very stimulating, and I can see why kids are completely put off by the idea. So what you're going to do is show your child that reading can be a form of entertainment. It is something that you're going to have to do. Again, I'm not asking for you to be like the biggest reader. I think if you read 3 books a year, hear me out, 3 books a year, just around your child, that you are going, instead of doing anything else to relax, you are going to pick up a book and maybe even harbour and instill a love of reading into yourself, because there's a lot of books out there for a lot of different people, would you believe it? Your child is going to see that this is a viable option for entertainment. Buy, obtain, borrow, I don't particularly care how you get them. They need to be physical. I'm not saying ebooks aren't reading. I mean, there's a meme here that ebooks aren't reading. It is quite funny. But if you're using, say, a Kindle or an iPad, all your kid sees is that you're on a device. The physical thing here trumps. They know exactly what a book is, they know what you are doing, and they know that there's no way in God's green earth that you are going to be distracted by anything else while you are doing this. You're gonna have to put some hours a week into reading. And I'm telling you now, as a parent, if you think putting a few little hours into a few little pages is more important than your kids' literacy, have a damn look in the mirror. Like, this is what you need to do. You need to start instilling that it is a viable form of something that is stimulating and entertaining. That's what you need to do. If it's a magazine, if it's a comic, again, I don't particularly care. As long as it is a physical book about I don't care, that's what you need to do. Your child needs to see you pick up reading as something viable, something that you are going to be entertained with. And that leads us to the second thing. You're gonna have to get your kid excited about reading. I'm going to tell you a little story here. Over the summer holidays, I took Dora, my daughter, and one of her friends to Cardiff, and we went into Waterstones. Now, Dora's friend had never been in a bookshop before, and do you know what she did? She scoured the place. She scoured the place. She was so, like, I don't know if she was bamboozled, but was so like, wow, like there are so many books that all she did was rifle through the bookshelves. I've never seen a kid that excited for books. Now, as a parent, I'm not saying that you have to go to bookstores and you have to end up buying books. Indeed, I did for my daughter's mate. She picked a book and went, wow, this looks really interesting, and I bought it for her. And I actually believe she started to read it in the house. Like, she's that excited by the prospect that she picked up this thing, she got the thing, and now she can read it. Like, she's never heard of this book before. I don't even know what the book was. It doesn't matter at that stage. Her excitement and elatement towards the book that I didn't even know that she was going to be like that fascinated with has started her beginning to read. That's what you need to do. You don't have a Waterstones near you? Go to a different bookshop. And if it's too expensive, go to the library. Some people tell me that libraries they can't go to. Then you know what you do? To the supermarkets. Tesco's, Asda's, at Sainsbury's. I believe even Waitrose, it's way out of my tax bracket to be going there. They have books for adults and kids. And you can buy them for like £2 for £8. They're fairly cheap. If that's out of your price range, again, you go to the library. Again, if that's really not viable for you, you go on Amazon and you buy the damn book second hand. If it's got scrolls in it, if it's completely beaten up, I promise you the kids, they don't care. The kids don't care. Dora's got brand new books, she's got completely battered books. She don't care. But, and I need to stress this, your kid has to be excited about the book. You are not choosing the book. The kid is choosing the book. And I don't care if it seems like the most left-wing choice that your child chooses. If they seem vaguely interested in the book, you get the book right there or by another avenue. Now that your child is beginning to see that you are reading, now they got the book that they're vaguely interested in, you can then introduce the book to them. Now, if your child cannot read, you're going to have to don the mantle of chief storyteller. And chief storytellers do two things. They sound a little bit silly and they come across a little bit goofy. That, sadly, is part of the job. I'm going to show you what I mean. And I'm not even going to use a kid's book. I'm going to use a book on the life of Niccolo Machiavelli to make my point. What you do not want to do, because again, this seems quite dry. So to a kid who's used to like TikTok, scrolling phones, Cocomelon, like drawing on iPads, I promise you this is like mind-numbingly boring. As chief storyteller in your house, you're gonna have to put some welly into it. And again, if that seems like a little bit embarrassing to make yourself silly in front of your kids, look in the mirror. This is your child's future and ability to read. Get over yourself. The one thing you don't want to do is read like that one boy who like really liked football and could not put like an ounce of effort in English class. I entrust this missive to your lordship and beseech you to allow me to return as previously communicated based on what I had heard. Your kid's switching off. You've probably switched off and you're an adult watching this. It's boring. You got to put some welly into it. If people speak, you're putting on silly voices. You are doing everything in your power to get your kid to listen to you. Because remember, they're not reading at the moment. You need to entice them so that they stay there. That any distractions around them, you have to be the biggest distraction. You have to be the biggest distraction. I entrust this missive to your lordships and beseech you to allow me to return. As previously communicated, based on what I heard, it is no longer necessary to tarry any further. Again, you're going to do this with age-appropriate books. You're not going to be reading like the likes of Machiavelli for your kid. Get something that they are somewhat interested in, but it has to be for their age group. Like if you go to Waterstones and they pick up Lord of the Rings and they're 4, like unless your kid really likes Lord of the Rings, use your common sense. Now, I don't think I've said anything, revolutionary. This is like common sense, like reading 101. The problem here is that you have to do it. My kids thought I was the weirdest person sat on their bed reading silly little goblin voices to them for a long time. And they would switch off and go, I don't want to read a book. Okay? You have to persevere. This is someone who has done this for nearly 6 years. My eldest is turning 6. I have been doing this for 6 years. And after years, after hours of instilling reading into my kids, now my eldest can pretty much walk her way through Harry Potter. My youngest, who's 3, is beginning to say the simple words within Dr. Seuss's Cat in a Hat. She can identify the most repeatable words, and I can allow her to read those as I'm doing silly cat voices of Dr. Seuss. Being a parent is absolutely hard work. I can attest that because I've gone bald because of it. There are hours, there are countless hours that you have to put in for the betterment of your child. That's all you need to do. You just need to be able to get them to be functionally literate. And I promise you, the hours, the days, the weeks, the years that you put into this will pay off. From one parent to another, pull your socks up, get a book, and enjoy these moments. Enjoy the moments where your child will let you read to them. Because we all know it's going to be gone too soon. This is the moment to start doing something.